It is easy to look at North America and see Indigenous communities in Canada as scattered, isolated groups waiting on government policy to shape their future. But that perspective misses a geopolitical reality. If we look at this map, the highlighted regions represent the 600,000 square kilometers of land under direct Indigenous control. To put that in perspective, that is an area twice the size of Germany. These regions hold authority over resources representing trillions of dollars in economic value. This power is backed by a steady $30 billion annual flow of core funding and over $50 billion in active, booked claims. To manage this, Indigenous leaders have built thousands of sophisticated organizations, from health authorities to legal defense teams and economic development corporations. Combined, these assets represent a $1 trillion ecosystem operating quietly within the borders of Canada. It is a vast architecture of resurgence built methodically over generations. Yet, despite this wealth and organizational power, the network remains physically fragmented. A brilliant legal victory defending water rights in British Columbia might never reach a nation facing the exact same threat in Manitoba. A young pregnant mother in a remote northern fly-in community might have no way to access culturally grounded prenatal care developed by Indigenous midwives just a few provinces over. Because these organizations lack a sovereign way to communicate at scale, they are forced to rely on external systems to function. This creates a phenomenon known as the Great Leak. Looking at this diagram, we can see the exact mechanics of the leak. Every time an Indigenous organization uses an outside platform, proprietary data, internal knowledge, and capital bleed out of the community nodes. That wealth is continuously absorbed by centralized external banks and technology corporations. The physical structures of Indigenous power have been successfully erected across the continent, but without their own connective digital tissue, the wealth and intelligence they generate will continue to be extracted rather than retained. The Fourth Way Digital Network provides an Indigenous-governed alternative. This infrastructure is built on decentralized nodes and sovereign server protocols, designed to serve the thousands of organizations already on the ground. It is a digital backbone designed to operate as a generational civilization project. It connects these lodge pools so they function as a single living system. The network prioritizes data sovereignty. While commercial algorithms are engineered specifically to harvest user information, this network operates as a protective vault, governed strictly by Indigenous law and cultural protocols. If an elder records a sacred language teaching, or a nation uploads a sensitive legal strategy regarding treaty rights, that information is strictly firewalled. The community retains absolute control over what is shared, what is restricted, and what remains private. Maintaining this level of control is a survival mechanism. It prevents the digital extraction of Indigenous culture and keeps legal intelligence safely out of the hands of outside interests. Once the data is secure, the network establishes an internal economy. Instead of the continuous leak we saw earlier, the network functions as a closed-loop circulatory system for Indigenous wealth. This flowchart maps out how the system employs Indigenous digital currencies and smart contracts. For instance, if a cultural asset is utilized by an outside educator, a smart contract triggers an automatic, frictionless royalty payment directly back to the Indigenous artist or community. The economic cooperation scales up rapidly from there. Through the network, 20 distinct nations can pool their capital to build a massive renewable energy project, bypassing the need to surrender equity to outside commercial banks. When capital remains inside the ecosystem, communities buy from one another, invest in each other's infrastructure, and create local jobs. Stopping the leak directly builds sovereign wealth. This technical architecture serves a deeper purpose, the restoration of the human circle. In 1999, Indigenous leaders signed the Treaty of the Condor, Quetzal, and Eagle, outlining a vision for hemispheric Indigenous unity. This digital network serves as the practical fulfillment of that exact treaty. It allows a young person living in the Canadian Arctic to log on and study climate adaptation strategies directly from an Indigenous land guardian protecting the Amazon rainforest. Technology is not replacing the lived human experience here. Instead, it provides the connective tissue necessary to restore the ancient human circle across thousands of miles. The living root system is now visible to itself. These thousands of organizations can finally move as one, coordinated across every province and territory. To understand the weight of this achievement, we have to look at the adversity that preceded it. Generations endured the crushing restrictions of the Indian Act, residential schools, and intense cultural suppression just to keep the foundations of their identity alive. From that reality, Indigenous leaders organized and forced their inherent rights onto the world stage. They codified their self-determination into international reality through decades of relentless legal and political strategy. This technological leap aligns with a specific vision from 1975. Two Cree elders from Alberta shared a prophecy of the everywhere spirit, foreseeing a time when screens would allow people to share knowledge and see each other's faces across vast distances. But the elders included a strict warning. They cautioned that this technology would either become a tool for devastating extraction or an instrument for profound healing. The outcome would depend entirely on the values of the people who controlled it. The Fourth Way digital network proves that digital infrastructure can thrive as a vessel for healing. Rooting the internet in sovereignty provides a blueprint for a technological future that protects rather than exploits the people it serves.